Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the build options for the DARKOATH Savages Warcry Warband. I've already made a separate video where I look at the fighter cards, ability cards and all the stats in loads of detail for this warband. But in this video we're going to take the instruction book and go through looking at the different build options for the models, including what weapons they can have, the poses we can put them in and the different fighter types available. Hopefully this will give you a good idea about what you can expect if you haven't ordered the Red Harvest box set yet, and also give you an idea of what you can include in your warband. We will have a quick look at the fighter cards just so we can make some comparisons, but again, if you want to go into detail about what each fighter can do on the battlefield, check out that other deep dive video. Right, let's get started with our first model, and this is the Slaughterborn, and here I've built him as the Slaughterborn with Great Blade, but you've got a couple of options. You can also build him with the Great Axe. And the good thing with most of these models in the warband is you can put them together with everything except the weapons and hands, and then all you have to do is glue those bits on. So here's a clip from the instruction book, and you can see the two different looks, how the model would be with that great axe, but I think he looks really cool with that great blade. And I've also used the hand holding those heads, but you could have him holding the great sword and then just have an open hand as well. You've got lots of options, but I like the idea that he's a collector. He's got different parts of him from all different warbands, so I figured having some heads would really finish it off nicely, so I thought that looked great. The weapon you choose will have a pretty good effect actually on the stats. You can see here with the sword you can make more attacks, but with the axe your strength is up from a 4 to a 6, so you're really improving the strength. Damage output's the same, but it's just weighing up those options. So I think if you wanted something that can take out those bigger, tougher opponents, then pick up the axe. But I think it'd be pretty easy to just trim that hand off the axe, glue it to the back of him, and then you could easily just proxy that same miniature and use him for both cards. It wouldn't be a problem at all, I don't think, as long as your opponent's happy, of course. Next up, we've got the Godspeaker, a sorceress fighter, and this is a really great model. I think this is fantastic. You've got a couple of options here with weapons and head. You can have a head with eyes in, or the one without the eyes, and she can hold up an eyeball to look around with, which I think is super cool, and I had to go with that variation. And then in her left hand, you can still choose to give her like a dagger or this weird like skull axe. So I went with the skull axe on mine. All these DARKOATHs were pretty easy to build, much easier than the Tarantulas Brood for sure, not so fiddly and delicate. But there was one error here. The heads are numbered differently on the instruction book than they are on the sprue, so just bear that in mind. When you put the head on, you want to get the one with or without the eyes, make sure that you just take into account they got the number wrong on the sprue, or at least on the sprue I had, the numbers were the other way round. This one's nice and easy. Whichever way you build it, it doesn't affect the stats. So you're going to get one fighter card to use for this Godspeaker. The stats aren't awesome as you look at them here, but if you see in the other video, the ability is really good. Gets 2 abilities for that Mystic Rune Mark, and they're really building into the narrative and great fun. Next, we've got the Wrath Touch, and there was no options to build this in any other way. So as you see it here, is exactly how it was in the instruction book, and with only one fighter card, nice and easy, so you don't have to worry about how to assemble this and no choices to be made. Now we've got our Proven, and you can build this one as a Proven with Great Axe, like I've done here, or Proven with Great Spear. So you've got 2 options. Both, again, going to be nice and straightforward. You can build the whole model and then just glue the weapon and hands on when you've made your mind up. But I thought this just looks awesome. Red Sonja looking model. It's got to be the way to go for me. But whichever way you prefer, you've got 2 options. And it's great because you get 2 fighter cards. So whichever option you go with, you're going to get a different fighter card. Again, points are quite close, but there is a bit of a difference here. You're going to get the same strength, but you're going to do a bit more damage with that axe, but your range isn't going to be as good. So it's a tie up here about which one you use. Just like with our Slaughterborn, I think you could take that spear, trim the hand off, and just file it down, glue that onto the back, and then you could have the option of using her as both fighter types. So I think that might be a good way to go, and I'll probably do that for her for sure. Next, we've got a Proven with Great Blade. Fantastic looking model. I love this one of my favourites. In fact, they're all good in this warband. I think they've done an amazing job with these, but you do have another option of building this proven with a great flail. As far as looks goes, it was an easy decision for me. The Great Blade had to be done. I think he just looks awesome. But the Great Flail comes with some pretty good stats, so that would be a good way to go if you're looking at trying to introduce something with a little bit of range maybe, rather than something up close. But I went for the Rule of Cool and went for this guy. But here's the two cards, so you can see it's quite different. You've got a range of 1 or 3. You can make 3 attacks or 2, but with that flail, the strength goes up to 5, and you do the same amount of damage. So if you want something a bit stronger with a bit of range, that flail isn't too bad at all. And when you combine that with some of their abilities, you can even improve the strength or attacks characteristics too. Next up is a Glory Seeker with Great Axe, and this looks completely different to the image we can see on the fighter type card. And that's because we've got lots of heads we can choose from for some of these miniatures, and he's one of them. So you can have lots of different heads that make it look completely different. I went for this one. I really like this barbarian, almost Viking look with the long hair, and I tried to incorporate that in most of the models in my warband. But you do have a lot of options for the faces. You can then build this one as a Glory Seeker with Great Axe or with paired weapons. And I went ahead and went with the paired weapons on mine. But again, you just glue in the arm and the hand on, so it's really easy to put these together whichever way you like. And whichever way you choose, you're going to get a card for each, which is really nice as well. And these are very different, 70 or 75 points, but look at the difference in damage output. It's 2 and 4 or 1 and 3, but you are going to be making only 2 attacks with the double-handed Great Axe or 4 attacks with the paired weapons. So I like having lots of attacks. I like to roll as many dice as I can, so I thought that was pretty cool. I went with the paired weapons. But again, I think you could just take that axe, file off and trim off all the other parts, and then stick it on the back, and then you could potentially use him as 2 different fighters. So that would be an option as well. Next, we've got a Glory Seeker with shield, and this is another case of it looking completely different to the images on the fighter type card, and all the images we've seen from the whole set really. So here you can see how this is assembled, and in the instructions it shows him with this long hair, and I went with that long hair because I want him to look quite close to the Proven with Great Blade, because I think I'll be using him in a different game, in my own game Weekend Warriors, and I want to give him 2 different looks with 2 different weapon profiles. So I think that's where I'm going to do it. And also in Warcry they could be like brothers or from the same tribe, so I think that works well as well. And so you've got 3 heads to choose from, which will change the look of this fighter dramatically. And you can end up with a Glory Seeker with a spear and axe, or a Glory Seeker with shield. I also don't think there's anything wrong with making one with the spear and shield, but then you'd have to choose the stats from one fighter, because there isn't a card for that one. Here's the fighter card that comes with the Glory Seeker with shield, and it looks great. It looks like a seasoned, almost veteran looking fighter, but I wanted to go with that long hair. I think it's really cool, and I wanted most of the models to have long hair really and look a bit like Vikings, so that's the kind of style I went for. And here's the fighter card if you choose to go with the spear and axe. So it's a shame really that these cards, neither of these options are going to match this particular model if you choose that head. So that's something to bear in mind if you do want it to match up, but it's no problem to Photoshop and just edit some cards and put in the actual picture of the miniature you have. I think that's something that could be worth doing. And next we've got another Glory Seeker with spear and axe, and this time I've built it so it looks like the fighter card, but you can choose to build it as a Glory Seeker with paired weapons, and in that case they're going to come with a sword and a axe. But I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't keep it with the spear and axe and still use it as a fighter with paired weapons. But again, that's something, as long as your opponent's happy, something you can do. And here's the fighter card. This one matches. I've changed the hair, so I've changed the head slightly, but it does match the picture. But if you choose to use the paired weapons, you're going to get this fighter card, which looks nothing like it. So that's something to consider, I think, when deciding which variations of these models to build. Now we've got some other Glory Seekers, this time with paired weapons or with an axe and shield that you can see here. And this image doesn't match anything I've seen before. So you've got Glory Seeker with shield, Glory Seeker with paired weapons. I really like the idea of a kind of shield maiden Viking style, so I'm going to build mine with the shield and axe. But you could mix it up. You could have the sword and shield, that would work as well, or you could just have the paired weapon. So you've got lots of options. If you do go with the shield, you're going to have to share this fighter card if you've already built one earlier on. And so this isn't going to match the picture either. So it might be a little bit confusing, really, not matching the picture and you're sharing the card. So I think with this warband, I'm definitely going to be putting together some new fighter cards and then printing them off. And it's the same if you go for the paired weapons. You're going to end up using this fighter card, potentially sharing it. I think it's going to get a little confusing. It almost takes away from the immersion a little bit as well. And we've got a second model that's very similar to this. And again, we can choose between the shield or the paired weapons. And we're going to have the same problem. The fighter card's not going to match up and you're going to be sharing it. Either option is going to be the same. So that's a bit of a shame for me. I really would have liked to have seen some other cards in for these two options because they're quite prominent. You know, the torsos can't be swapped with other ones. So you have got these two female fighters, but the cards don't match it in any way. So that's a bit of a shame. Would have liked to have seen that. And then here's all the other bits that we haven't seen. So you get some spare axes, some daggers, and lots of different heads that you can choose to use. One's got an eye patch, which I thought was pretty cool. And so even some more trophies there. You've got a couple of extra skulls you can hang off your belt. So you can see you've got a lot of variation. That'll really change how the models look. But those swords, daggers and axes, you can just glue onto the belt. It shows an example there with the Slaughterborn, and that looks pretty cool. Sometimes I think it's fun that if you do something in a battle and you want to give a certain player another weapon or a prize of some kind, then this would be good to have these painted up separately, and then you can just glue them on when they do something cool in a battle. So I think that would be fun. But there we go, that sums up all the build options for the DARKOATH Savages. It's a shame some of them don't match the cards at all, no matter how you build them. So I was a bit disappointed about that. But overall, I think they're fantastic models, and I don't mind making some extra cards. It's no problem at all. But what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are there any fighters that stand out to you? And which ones will you really want to be including in your warband? If the Tarantulas Brood are more your thing, then I've done the same kind of video for them. And I've also done deep dive videos for both the DARKOATH Savages and the Tarantulas Brood, where we look at the fighter cards and abilities in great detail. You can also watch a video unboxing the whole set to see exactly what's included. And I've done a video where we look at the terrain and talk about the new rules and how you might like to use them in your game. If you like the look of Red Harvest and would like to add it to your collection, then I'll put some links in the description below to Element Games and Wayland Games, and those links will give you 20% off the RRP, which makes it really great value. It's an awesome set. They are affiliate links, but it won't cost you anything extra. You'll save that money and also support the channel as I get a small commission too. So thanks so much if you choose to order in that way. I really appreciate that support. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've bought the set already, I hope you're enjoying getting it already. It's really awesome fun and a great set. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'd be great to see you there.